Hello everybody, Chris Porter live here in downtown Canton, Ohio, where today the Pro Football Hall of Fame held their enshrinees gold jacket ceremony inside of Canton Memorial Civic Center. And it was the first time since we've been here that we've been able to see Jacksonville's own LeRoy Butler and Jaguars great Tony Boselli in one room. And we got to see them put on those gold jackets. Let's start with LeRoy Butler, a man who was raised on the west side of Jacksonville in one of the roughest and poorest neighborhoods in the River City. A young man who at one time was bound to a wheelchair. Then when he got to high school, after overcoming those obstacles, and he was being recruited by all of the top coaches in the country, he then decided to go to Florida State, but had to stop the first year because he did not score high enough on the SAT. But he did not allow not a one of those obstacles to stop him from becoming not only one of the greatest safeties in the NFL, but just one of the greatest NFL players of all time. His brother, his sister, his daughters, his niece, his wife, they were all here tonight, and they all are so proud, as they should be, of LeRoy Butler. How has he inspired you?
So I recently started working with kids with special needs, and I have some kids that are in wheelchairs, and they feel like, well, I will never be able to walk. And I tell them, my dad was in a wheelchair. The doctor told him he would never walk, and he runs. And he's a great football player. So it gives me inspiration to instill into other children to let them know nothing is impossible as long as you stick to your goal and stay consistent, persistent, and continue to grow. You'll definitely succeed.
Even having a man that wasn't even barely able to walk, you know, to go into doing a Lambo leap, it just lets you know that you never give up on your dreams, no matter how big, you know, or small they are. And I feel like even with that, we all have been very accomplished, even though we're still young at this age. And I just, you know, I can't wait to see what's in store for all of us.
Everything we do, excuses, he doesn't take excuses, because obstacles are just as big as you allow them to be in your space. So you just go at it, you overcome it. If you want it, you can have it.
Also, Tony Boselli, the first player ever drafted by our Jacksonville Jaguars in 1995 with that second overall pick, a man who went and played his college ball at USC out in California, a man that has been in position to get to this point in the Pro Football Hall of Fame process, a man who's seen the door closed in his face time and time and time again. Yes, the sixth time proved to be the charm. And let me tell you, when Tony Boselli's name was called tonight, there are a lot of folks who made the trip from the First Coast here saying, Duval. In fact, I saw Tony before they came out. He was all giddy, he was sharp, he was looking good, and his family, they were taking photos. A very emotional night for Tony Boselli. Just think about that for a second. The first pick in this franchise's history is the first guy to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Tony Boselli. Congratulations, LeRoy Butler. You guys have made the city of Jacksonville and people all across the First Coast, the country, football fans around the world, very, very proud. Now, back to LeRoy Butler for a second. We all know him as being one of the greatest NFL players of all time, but did you know this guy can cook? His daughters talk to me about the fact that usually you think moms do all the cooking, but in his case, he does all the cooking. I asked them, which dish do you like best? Macaroni and cheese. I gotta try it. That's the story for now. Tony Boselli and LeRoy Butler will be officially enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame tomorrow at noon, but be sure to join me at 9 a.m. on NBC 12 for a special edition of Good Morning Jacksonville, headed to the Hall. I'll have you covered. It'll be an hour of excellence. That's the story for now. I'll see you guys a little later in sports.
All right, Chris, they're making the First Coast proud.
All I can think about right now is macaroni and cheese.
That sounds good, doesn't it?
Next at 11,